All right, TNE fans, you asked for it and now you have it. We have here Ahmed Hassan, the former host of Yard Crasher, now doing his thing, inspiring people with his beautiful landscape expertise and running his company. Hameen, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with me this morning. How are you?
I'm wonderful today. Thank you for having me on to do this interview.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I just wanted to shoot right into it with some of the questions. Seeing as you've been a landscaper for over 25 years, starting at the young age of 10 and working in horticulture for almost 20 years now, what advice do you have for young men and women that want to get more involved with gardening and landscape industry?
Uh, you know, if it's your passion, whatever it is, whether it's landscaping or anything else, I just say you've got to go for it. Like you have to live your life around whatever you're passionate around. I got into landscaping and horticulture because it was what I was passionate about. It was something that was really enjoyable to me. It gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a sense as a man of being capable and competent, which is really important as a man. I don't know what the experience is like as a woman because I'm not a woman, but I know as a man growing up in society, we really desire to be capable and competent. And then after that, I think to be financially successful. And so what I've done with my career in horticulture is figure out how can I do the often considered mundane work of landscaping, gardening, outdoor construction, and do it in a way to where I also have some dignity about who I am and what I do, and I don't consider myself just a lawn jockey. So being this celebrity landscaper is something that's taken me a long time to sort of craft and mold that particular position. But again, if it's something that you love and it's something that you're passionate about, you'll do it. And I've done it, and I'm still doing it.
And we love that about you so much. And one of the things that we always preach here at TNE is make your passion your paycheck. So it's so nice to hear people
Absolutely.
continuously reiterate that.
Yeah.
As you were growing up and doing landscaping, who was your first mentor and what did they teach you that has stayed true to you to this day?
So my most significant mentor in my life would be my father. My dad passed away the end of 1994, but he's the one who inspired me to work with my hands, work outside, work with tractors, trucks, equipment, and to get into landscaping in the first place because he was a landscaper. And so it was really just me growing up and wanting to emulate my father, someone who I thought was, Superman. I thought he could do no wrong, and he knew how to do everything, and he was extremely capable and competent. I didn't know a lot of his shortcomings as a kid because as a kid you just look at your parents and you think that they're magicians, if you have good parenting, that is. So my dad was my first mentor, and one of the things that he taught me, he taught me plenty in life, but one of the things he taught me that I still utilize and tell to other young adults today is fake it till you make it. Act as if until it is. Play the part, play the role. Even if you don't know how, just play the role. And you pretend to be that which you want to be, and at some point you'll look up and you say, oh, that's really who I am. So fake it till you make it, and he had the little add-on to that, but make sure you make it.
Yeah, so live your fantasy until it becomes a fact.
I'm having a hard time hearing you right now.
So pretty much just saying like living your fantasy until it becomes a fact.
Yeah, you have to, what it is if I want to break it down and get a little more scientific with it,
please do.
In order to do anything, in order to create anything, in order to be anything, you have to have a vision for it. And then you have to have that vision as your guide. It's an idea. It's an ideal, and you have to hold that there and always keep it there. And then you sort of act as if until it is. So a good example of that is, are you a parent?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so I'm a parent. I didn't know how to be a dad. And it kind of freaked me out when we had our first. My firstborn is now 17. That's my son. And then I have a 14-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old daughter. But when I first had my son, it's like, I didn't know how to do this. And my dad wasn't here for me to consult with. My older brother wasn't here for me to consult with. And it was pretty scary. And what I realized is parenting is no different than anything else where the adage of fake it till you make it, but make sure you make it applies. You don't know how to be a parent, so you have to figure it out trial and error. You know, the baby's crying, we'll figure it out. Check the baby's diaper. Okay. That's not it. Baby's still crying. Okay. Is the baby hungry? Maybe try some food. How about some water? How about patting his back? How about walking around? How about touching his back? Like, you have to just figure these things out. And you learn as you go. But you have to do something. You know, a lot of people are especially young adults, are sort of like, well, I don't know what I want to do. Oh, that's fine. But you got to do something. Tick-tock. You know, you're getting older. Time is ticking. Fake it till you make it. Figure out what you want to be and then act as if you're going to do that and start going through the steps. And you can change your mind at any time along the course. But you have to have an idea of what you want to do, and then you have to start moving towards that idea with just whatever you come up with in your imagination. So that's the faking it side. Does that make sense? A little more clear?
Yeah, that's amazing. That totally makes sense. And I think that's exactly what the readers were looking for. Seeing that you said that your father was one of the most influential reasons why you mentors and why you got into landscaping.
Yeah.
And your company is family owned. You and your wife Tiffany work together for your company. How has that impacted your view on work, and what advice do you have for someone who owns a business with their spouse, and also with your 3 children being really involved in your life? Are they also involved in your business? And if so, do you guys feel that working together as a family helps your family stay strong and united?
Oh, it's interesting. Interesting topic. Okay, so that was a very broad question, so I'm going to give you a broad answer because I think that's only appropriate. Okay. And then whatever you're doing on your phone, it's really hard for me to listen to you. I'm trying to pay close attention, so I don't know if you're able to clear yours up. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you great.
Perfect. Okay. So to answer the question, my wife and I have been married. We got married in 1995. We had been together and dating for a couple years before that. We started dating each other when I was 17 and she was 14. At 42, we're now in the process of actually getting a divorce, and we still work together. And we're going to continue to work together through at least the calendar year of 2016. And then after that, I'm going to wish her well and let her go do her thing and figure out what her career goals really are, and I'm going to continue with mine. Our relationship has benefited both of our lives. I mean, we raised each other and raised ourselves together. And we love each other. We live 1 mile away from each other. And kids have rooms at both of our houses. But our relationship as a marriage doesn't really work anymore. We do work together pretty well. And so that's why we're going to continue to do that. And we care about each other. We're really family. When you're together that long, you're really family. So we're going through those changes. But it has been beneficial. It has been beneficial because we can communicate around work all the time. And really, my work is my identity. It's my life. I am really a workaholic. And as far as I'm concerned, me being a workaholic is not a problem because it benefits myself, my wife, our 3 kids, and a few employees that I have. So I don't mind being a workaholic. As far as my kids love to be involved in doing anything that is fun for them at the moment. If I call it work, they probably won't be so interested. If I have a piece of equipment and I'm on a job site and we're creating something and they can participate and they can play or they can jump on a piece of equipment or they can do that thing we call work, but I can pitch it in a different way, they love it. I feel like my son is probably going to be working for me very soon. He's doing little projects for my brother-in-law over at his property. Sometimes he'll help me out in the field because he's 17. He's very capable. I started teaching the boy how to work when he was just a few years old. But I'm not pushing any of my kids into going into landscaping or horticulture. I really want them to figure out what they're passionate about, what moves them, what excites them to get up out of the bed and go do it at 5 o'clock in the morning. And considering their ages, they're still a little early on that. But I would like them to be capable of taking care of their own properties. They should at least know the basics of how to grow plants, how to water plants, what things need to be, because they're just who their dad is. But I'm not stuck on trying to make my dream their dream. I'm just happy that they have dreams.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good to know, and that's helpful, I'm sure, for some people. Now you start hosting DIY shows and being featured back in 2007. One of the shows I remember was you were featured on several episodes of Landscape Smart, and then you went on to host Yard Crashers for 3 years. Not to mention all the other shows on DIY and partnering networks like HGTV.
Right.
How would you say that time on air affected your business? And what was the most impactful lesson that you learned about yourself from working on television?
I learned that I was the bomb.com. What has impacted me is TV was huge for giving me notoriety and popularity. The mere fact that I was on television as long as I was, and as many people know me, is really the reason that I can run and operate my business in the way that I do today. I pay zero for marketing. I just, I don't. And I've always kind of been one of these people who always has plenty of work. I got more work than I really have time to get done. And I like it like that, At this point, I'm working throughout the state of California. I'm licensed in California. I work Northern California, Southern California. I'll work the Valley. So long as I can charge what my prices are and the ancillary mobilization that goes with that, I'll go wherever the work is. In 2016, I started traveling the country to do projects. So I just came back from Texas, and I'm looking at going back east and doing some work in Delaware and the Maryland area in just a little bit. Typically, when I travel outside of the state, I don't do the actual contracting and the installation, but I do consultation and create designs with a buddy of mine who's a nationally award-winning designer, and so we do what we do. So all of what I'm able to do right now in my business, I kind of give credit to my time on television. The interesting thing about TV is that I get no royalties for any of the shows that I did. So I used to get paid from television. I haven't gotten paid from television since the end of 2011, and yet here I am. And I was living off of TV money, and my expenses got up to that level. And then I was like, oh my God, I lost my shows. What am I going to do? And what I did was fell back on what I know and what the world expects from me. I'm still a landscape professional. And television added to that. And I get work a lot through social media, whether it's Facebook or Twitter. And I just keep on being me, because that's all I ever did on television. I just showed up as Ahmed. I did whatever I could to stay authentic and stay true to myself. And I think it really helped my career in the sense that people related to me. That was probably the best move I ever made in television, was that I stayed true to who I was. And who I was looked very different than who else was hosting on TV, because I wasn't reading a script, I wasn't playing a role, it was authentic. And you could watch me on TV and you would relate to me just like you would relate to me in the real world. And that benefited me hugely.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I always value about your show, that I always found to be so monumental, is just the holistic approach you went about with doing yard work and gardening. And with that being said, as you may already know, heart disease, diabetes, blood pressure are just some of the leading causes of death for people of color in America.
Yes.
You recently helped Bullock Elementary School in Glassboro, New Jersey, creating an edible garden at their school. How important is the knowledge of greenery for children, and what advice do you have for someone that wants to get more involved in creating edible gardens for their community?
Step right into it, anywhere you can. If you want to do anything, then you have to just sort of immerse yourself with it and jump right into it. The Bullock Garden was a garden that was dreamt up by a school teacher by the name of Sonia Harris. I actually interviewed her yesterday on my radio show.
Yeah, I saw that.
And she knew nothing about gardening. Sonia knew nothing about gardening. She just had a desire. She had a dream. She had the idea. She had the vision. And she came at me and she was like, hey, I want to do this and I want to do that and blah, blah, blah. And I started asking her some questions. And that's when I realized this lady don't know anything. Like, wow. Like, that's a lot of work on me. Because if you don't know anything and you're coming to me, so what I did was I started sending her off. Well, why don't you go look into this and why don't you go look into that and then hit me back. So I'd sort of send her off on a wild goose chase. And she'd come back with a wild goose. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, here, let me send you off again. Why don't you go look at this and why don't you go look at that, do a little research on this, and then hit me back. She'd go do everything that I told her to do, and then she'd come back with another wild goose. I'm like, wow, this lady is serious. So I sent her off like for almost a year, just kind of like, okay, you have to look into this, you have to look into that, because I wanted to see where her bandwidth was. I wanted to see if she had enough mojo, enough get down, enough steadfastness to go and do her part, or is she just coming to me to say, hey, Ahmed, help me to do something? Like, you do all the work, because I'm not into that. I'm totally into helping people who are willing to help themselves. I'm not into, hey, I'm going to come in and do it all for you, in spite of what you know me for on Yard Crashers, right?
Yes.
Yard Crashers was not done by just Ahmed and his crew. We always utilized the homeowner and all their family and friends. Like, my job was to turn them into my mules for their benefit, of course. So, and my benefit too, because we got a show out of it. But I sent Sonia Harris off back and forth, and what I realized after about a year and a half was I was like, this lady is serious. She's got what it takes to get this done. I'm gonna help her, and let's go out and get it done. So that's what we did, and I also had the belief in myself that we could pull it off because I had just finished my first charity project that we dubbed Daniela's Wish for 2-year-old Daniela Colazzo living in Miami Springs, Florida. And we did a magnificent makeover at her home and in their backyard. So last year I ended up pulling off 3 charity projects with my little group, Sustainable Heroes. And it all came down to, we did projects that were around health and wellness. So like what you were talking about with diabetes and stuff like that. The projects had to be something that was related to health and wellness or something that was going to educate the general public about whatever our causes were. And we're still working as sort of a non-organized organization to figure out where's the future of Sustainable Heroes going. But right now, we're all like busy sustaining ourselves and our own lives because a lot of us are actually entrepreneurs and small business owners. So we can only do so much charitable and philanthropic work because we got to support ourselves too, you know?
Yeah, that actually makes me think about an interview that I had did not too long ago for May Issues with Devin George. I don't know if you know who Devin George is, but he was a former NBA player for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Okay.
And he had went back home to Minneapolis, and he had opened the Commons on Park Avenue, which was like an affordable living, like apartment unit in his neighborhood where it was like high end living, but with like affordable like prices, and made the ground floor like a health and wellness center and a co-op grocery store. And the co-op grocery store actually opens this summer. So
Awesome.
but in his neighborhood there wasn't a grocery store for over 6 miles. So that's yeah. So that's really monumental, just being able to get fresh fruits and vegetables. And hearing you say that it starts from having the passion and wanting to do it, and really engulfing yourself and not just looking for people to help you with a handout, but educating yourself with all the things that you need to be able to sustain something once it's been given to you. That's really powerful.
It's that, but there's another little caveat that goes with that, and I'll tell it to you, and you may or may not get it. Okay, so if it goes right over your head or it goes over any of your listeners' heads, it's okay. When you want to come back and meditate on it, you can meditate on it.
Okay.
For about the last 2 years, I immersed myself with dealing with my own fears, my own insecurities, my own issues of me getting in my own way because I felt like I couldn't do something. And whatever it is I felt like I couldn't do, I had to go and do that. So what it caused me to do is it caused me to learn how to be big and to step up. I learned how to be like my own superhero and then to be other people's superheroes. And that was a big deal for me. That's why I've been able to do the work that I've done and why I'm still able to do what I do. Because my life is scary. I wouldn't wish my life on nobody. Because if you don't have some real get down, about who you are and what you're capable of, like a real sense of confidence and just being courageous in spite of your fears, my life will shut you down. And I don't know, it's something that I've really been keyed in on for the last couple of years, and I'm getting better at it. And I still get anxiety that pops up, and I get fears around, oh, well, how are we going to do this? And how are we going to do that? I mean, I'm talking just doing landscape projects. You know, I am a driver in my life. That's what people saw me do on Yard Crashers. I was a driver. I was the host of the show. I'm the landscape professional. I worked with my designers to design different things. It was always co-collaborative designs. But what Ahmed did better than anybody, and what Ahmed does better than anybody, is I drive that job to get it done. That's what I do really, really well. I drive it, I get it done, I'm a hard ass, and we're going to get to the finish line every time. And I've learned how to take that same quality that I first started really getting good at and started showing off on television, and I've learned how to take that into other areas of my life and go get it done. But in the landscaping realm, that's just where I get to have fun with it, because that's where my knowledge base is. You know, that's where the primary source of my education is around landscaping and construction. So it's been fun.
That's awesome, Ahmed. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Ahmed Hassan, former host of Yard Crashers. If you have any questions,
so the original host and co-creator of Yard Crashers. Let's get it right?
The original host and co-creator of Yard Crashers. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to follow below. Also, check out our social media and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much, Ahmed. Look for my article on the spotlight on Ahmed in our next issue of TNE Magazine.
I love it. Thank you.